All right. I keep forgetting that there's no transition and we just go live. It's just a hard cut. So I'm waiting for like a fade and it just
It's
doesn't
it's
happen.
because you keep saying that we're gonna make one,
Yeah.
and
Well,
and
well,
I
just like
think
an
it's just in
intro.
your head.
But there's not even
Yeah.
like a transition to go from the standby screen to us. It's just like a
Us.
hard cut. On all the
Mm,
other shows that I produce, I've got like a nice little like fade or dissolve from one to the next. So we have like a second just to make that transition, and here we don't. But
well,
you know,
you,
it's
there's
okay.
got to be something that makes us different, other than the fact that this is the only one that I'm on. So,
Right. And the
yeah.
the only one that like travels from day to day, today.
Today, yeah. Well,
But
that's
now we're
because
on
you're very
today.
kind.
Anyway, we are here today.
Today.
I'm gonna say today so many
Now,
times.
now you're going to say it a lot.
We are here to discuss Star Trek Enterprise season 1, episode number 25, or I guess 24, depending on the streaming service that you're using. 25 in production order. We go through. You know what? You guys get it. It's the Risa episode. It's called 2 Days and 2 Nights. Um,
It's
we've
the
been waiting.
penultimate episode in the season.
Right, and it feels like we've been waiting to get to this episode forever now.
I think we have been. I mean,
Because
it feels like we've been waiting longer than the crew has.
right, because they've been trying to get to Ryza for the past 3 episodes, right?
Uh, yes, they at the end of so there's a 3 episode arc. It starts Desert Crossing, which was our last one, but the
Mm-hmm.
one before that was that the hero one, the fallen hero,
Fallen Hero,
fallen.
right.
So that's when they start their trek with the fallen hero episode, and they get sidetracked. So it was the end of the episode before that. That's not Voxola, is it?
No, no, Voxola was before that. Before that one was Detained.
Detain. That's the one. That's the one. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think. I think Voxola was after Detained.
But at the beginning of Fallen Hero, they basically like, yeah, we're gonna go to Risa and shore leave, and then oh no, we gotta help the fallen
Uh,
hero.
yes,
Yes, yes, we did.
yes. So this Uh, hey, Trekkie B, who we know as Eric Berry, who joins us on this show every once in a while, is in the chat, and he's asking about the change of days. Yeah, we couldn't find a good schedule for us because we weren't always available. I got stuck doing stuff. Jamie got stuck doing stuff. You got stuck doing stuff. Charles got stuck doing stuff. Joe got stuck doing stuff. So Wednesday seemed like a good day to go. So right now, we are on Wednesdays at 9:30 until we know when the next. I believe it's Lower Decks is the next show that's premiering in August or July. I don't remember the date. The date right off the top of my head. Whenever we find out what day specifically that is, that launches, we're going to shift once again to that day so we can start doing the watch-alongs, which are, you know,
I will, I will tell you.
because
It is.
I'm not good with just like someone telling me a date and then knowing immediately what the day is.
I actually met a kid when I was working the other day who that was his talent. You
That's
could any day within the last 10
yeah.
years, it had to be in the past, not in the future, but any
Okay.
day in the last 10 years, if you told him the day, or like the date, he would figure out the day. So it will be Thursday, August 12th, 2021,
Okay. So
which is the year that.
so we that's gonna be rough because Thursdays
Yeah.
is also the Bad Batch night. So
But now it's gonna premiere on Paramount Plus. So might it be dropping at midnight like the other ones are doing? So
it
it might be midnight going
maybe
into August
maybe
12th.
because Paramount was also dropping some shows. I want to say at like 5 or 6
Hmm.
the day of.
The day before, day of,
Well,
yeah.
day of, yeah. So we'll have to
Oh,
figure that. Eric says that Enterprise originally was aired on Wednesday nights too. So now
that's
we're right on. I know. I think we're
we
by.
did know that, Eric. We totally
I
knew
think
that.
I think we're actually behind now. For a while, we were actually on schedule with the date that
Hmm.
the episodes actually aired. But now because of all of our like random things, it's got pushed back. This episode first aired on May 15th, So we're about 6 weeks off now.
Yeah. Well, like 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
push yourself
Give
too
or, give or
far.
take. What is
But
time?
we'll be catching up a little bit too, because next week it's a two-parter, so we'll probably segue, I'm guessing, into
Is next
season
week a two?
two.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. So
It's the end of
it's
season
season
one into the
one,
beginning
beginning
of
of
season
season
two.
two. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll figure that out if we want to go season finale, season premiere, or just season finale, and then leave everyone on a cliffhanger like we were when this originally aired
Or
for 5 months in between.
something like that.
Ish. But yeah. So this episode was our chronologically our first trip to Risa. Um,
Hmm.
even though we've seen it in other episodes before, we do have some information on that we will be talking about in a little while. But what did you think about this episode?
Um, it's fun. And we'll talk about the reason as to why a little bit later. It feels a little lackluster to me.
It
It
feels like a
feels like
filler
there's a
episode.
lot of promise and not as much payoff. Both because of the fact that we've been building up to their shore leave episode for 3 episodes, or well, 2 episodes
Yeah.
now, two prior and then this one. Um, so that also just we know Risa is supposed to be a pretty dope planet, so I'm kind of excited to see it for the first time through the lens of Starfleet.
Yeah. So we had one we had the Travis storyline.
Hmm.
We
There
had
were a lot of
the
storylines.
Hoshi storyline. We
Hmm.
had the Archer storyline, and
Yep.
we had the Trip
Trip,
and
Reed,
Trip and
Lieutenant
Reed
Reed.
storyline.
And we also sort of in a segue into Anthony Montgomery's um, storyline. We
Kind of a
had
flux, sort of a
Phlox.
flux.
We had a Phlox storyline, and we had some really good T'Pol moments.
Yeah. So let's go storyline by storyline. I think that makes the most sense for this episode, just the way it was broken down.
Yeah.
We can like breeze through Phlox really quick. We know that his species typically hibernates for 6 days out of the year. But he said I could get by with two, so they
Too.
put it. So since everyone's going on shore leave, they're like, hey, I'm gonna hibernate for the next 48 hours.
Hmm.
Um,
And
sorry. Eric says that this is almost like an Enterprise version of Captain's Holiday from TNG, and between Archer and Picard, that is absolutely true.
that was part of
Sort of.
the inspiration.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. But well, let's talk about him first. Let's talk about
Oh,
the
so
Archer part.
go to Archer now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll skip ahead a little
We'll
bit.
switch off of Phlox.
Yeah, well, Phlox was easy. It was he went to
I,
hibernation, and then that was
Well,
came out. But
storyline wise, but there were some great moments that he got to play because he's normally playing. He's such a bombastic character
yeah,
actor. So like when he just crashed on the ground, and then he's calling him captain. And it's like, no, it's Ensign Mayweather.
he was just like out of it, like so
Yeah,
out of it. I
he
mean,
played it so well.
that's great. Like, have you ever been so tired
Oh yeah,
where like you just had absolutely no idea what was going on?
I think right now.
Like I don't know if I've ever been that bad, but I know I've had conversations when I'm like half asleep and
Mhm.
someone asks me a question and I answer with something that is completely and totally unrelated at all.
Yeah.
Like someone will ask me, "Hey, what time do you need to wake up in the morning?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, I'll take a Big Mac." What?
I it reminds me there was a time this was back long ago. I woke up. I was at a bed and breakfast with my girlfriend at the time. Woke up in the morning and I felt so rested and so wonderful. And she goes, "Do you remember last night?" And I go, "No, I didn't even dream." And she goes, "You were talking all night and you weren't making any sense." And I go, "What?" And what ended up happening? Apparently, I was talking to a ghost. So it was
For a
like
second, I thought you
having
were gonna say that you were talking to a goat.
a goat. Yes, a ghost of a goat.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
or a ghost of the goat, the greatest of all time.
Because then,
But
like, yeah, just randomly, sorry to cut you off, but last night I saw someone mention the movie The Happening,
Oh,
The Mark Wahlberg movie, and
yeah, yeah.
I made the mistake before I watched that movie of watching the
Uh,
SNL skit with Andy Samberg. Mark Wahlberg
ah,
talks to the animals. So throughout watching The Happening, all that I had in my head was Andy Samberg doing an impression of Mark Wahlberg
Mark
because
Wahlberg.
the way Mark Wahlberg spoke in that movie was exactly how Andy
Oh,
Samberg was doing that
and then
impersonation. And then
the follow up episode.
he talks to a fake tree. Like Mark Wahlberg talks to a fake tree in the movie, and it's just like, "Hey goat, how's it going? I had a beard like that in A Perfect Storm. Did you see that movie? Did you see that movie, goat? Did you say hi to
And
your
I
mother
love
for
the
me?"
follow up on SNL when Mark Wahlberg is hosting and he confronts Andy Samberg. And then he actually talks
So
to the
good.
goat and he completely ignores Keenan.
Yeah.
He's just like, and Keenan's like, hey. And he's just like, hi, goat.
It's so good. Anyway, so
Uh,
you were talking to a
Yeah, yeah.
ghost in your sleep.
Long story short, I don't remember being like asleep and sleep talking or anything. But my girlfriend had told me later, like, yeah, you didn't make any sense, and you sounded like and you were just talking left and right and this way and the other, and you got up at one point and everything. So when I watched this episode, I imagine that's what I must have been acting like.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's man. He John Billingsley is just such a phenomenal character actor like that.
What is he up to nowadays? As we
Uh,
move on to Archer, I
yeah,
suppose.
I'm not sure. So I was reading a little bit of the behind the scenes information, the production information about this, and they said that part of their inspiration for his storyline was a Cary Grant esque Hitchcock movie,
Yes.
and it definitely kind of felt that way.
Hmm.
Um, but after reading that, it just made me think about how much I would love to see an episode of Enterprise with Scott Bakula in a situation like Cary Grant in North by Northwest.
Ooh, that would have been a great one.
Like he wakes up on like an alien planet, and just like all the same type of stuff that happened to Cary Grant in North by Northwest kind of happens to him. You know, there's the woman, there's the MacGuffin, uh, a chase on Mount Rushmore. You know, like I mean, they
Hmm.
don't necessarily need to do that in Star Trek, but you know, it could be like a Vulcan statue or you know like whatever.
Right, right. That
But
would have
that
been
just be
cool.
so much that I think that would be so much fun because this episode with Archer's I think Archer stuff was really good. Just because Scott Bakula is so good, it was just yeah, it was too short.
Yep, I agree. And the woman was fantastic. Which actress was that? Um, Day
Layla, something or Dayla,
Day Young. Was that Day Young?
maybe I think.
Um, let me see. Yeah, Day Young or D Young. Anna D Young.
Oh,
Um,
so this is a completely excuse me off not completely off topic, but random coincidence. So Paramount Plus,
yes.
the app on the Xbox does not support 4K video.
Really?
Yeah, the Google TV app does,
Huh.
but not the Xbox Series X version.
Hmm.
I
Well, Paramount Plus just added a if you want to watch a movie or a show, you can add it to a list now. They finally added that
that's good.
today.
Yeah, that
I
was one
got
of
I
the
got a
things. Couldn't
oh.
some of these streaming services are just so bad. Like I like Pluto TV. I understand that it's free, but
Hmm.
it's the same type of thing. There's no real good way to search for anything on there either. They make it kind of a nightmare. And Paramount Plus, we pay for that, and they just added a watch list to it. But so they kind of butted into a conversation that I was having with someone on Twitter just about it. Like I wasn't even like I knew that it was just it wasn't supported on the app, but they messaged me and they're like, hey, we're sorry to hear that you're having problems, please let us know if there's anything that we can do to help. So replied back to them. I was like, hey, this is the issue, realize that it's not that the app doesn't currently support it, but can you guys tell me when it will be supported, or if you guys are working on adding 4K support to the Xbox Series X
Right.
app? And they just replied to me Hi, Josh. We regret to inform you that we currently do not have a set date when Xbox will be supporting 4K streaming. If you have any additional questions, please let us know. We are here to help.
That's so helpful.
Right?
Jeez. John Billingsley has been doing a lot of one-offs lately. He had going back to 17 and 18. He was in an episode of The Connors, The Orville, The Rookie, the Resident. I don't know that show. Shameless, All Rise, Homecoming.
The Rookie is
Uh,
the Nathan Fillion show,
mhm,
where he's a
mhm.
cop, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it looks like he's been doing some indie films. Do you know a show called Station 19 or Bronzeville?
Station 19 was a fire department show.
Okay, yeah, he's been making a living doing a lot of one-offs, it looks
I, I
like.
think I think it was in the same universe that Blue Bloods was in, but I'm not sure.
Oh, he was in an episode of the new Twin Peaks.
Oh, nice.
Um, yeah, he's been doing very well for himself. Um, looks like he does an occasional movie here and there. Been playing a lot of doctors, so he got typecast.
Interesting.
A lot of doctors in his IMDb. But yeah, he's keeping busy.
You know, it's almost going to be like now that I'm thinking about how we're discussing this, I'm gonna pop us over to the trivia tab,
Yeah.
um, and we can kind of go through some of this because some of these things will play into our discussion on the storyline. Um, First, I mean, this one is easy enough. Michael Dorn is the director of this episode. Of course,
Hmm.
he played Lieutenant and Commander and whatever as he got promoted Worf in TNG and Deep Space Nine. I don't think he was in an episode of Voyager, was he? I
Hmm.
don't think he made an appearance there.
Let's see.
Um, I don't think he appeared in Enterprise either.
I don't think no, it was just at the end there.
With
Only
Riker
Riker
and
and Troy.
Troy. Yeah. Um, but yeah, so he was
Oh,
in.
and Data's voice.
Oh yeah, right. But yeah, so he directed this episode. A lot of Star Trek alumni have gone on to direct after appearing in the show. LeVar Burton directed a lot of episodes. Jonathan Frakes, of course, he's still directing episodes. He's doing a lot of episodes of Discovery. I think he's directed a couple of episodes of Strange New Worlds. He's voicing Riker on Lower Decks. And he was in last season of Picard. So it'll be interesting to see if Worf does make a new appearance. I know I talked to him earlier this year about an indie film that he was in, and he had said that he hadn't been contacted about it,
Hmm.
but he did have a Worf series that he was writing that he was hoping to pitch, and
That'd
we'll
be
see.
cool.
Yeah, we'll see if Paramount picks that up because that could be fun.
Yeah. No, he did not appear in any Voyager or Enterprise episodes.
I didn't think so. Next, okay, so this one ties into Archer's storyline. Um, According to Memory Alpha, Archer had a bag with the Friendship One logo on it, but I couldn't find it.
Really?
Yeah, so the bag that I saw him carrying was for like a regional basketball tournament. You'll see it pop up on the YouTube feed in just a second.
Yeah.
You can see on the bag that it says like something regionals, and it's someone like holding a basketball.
Something regional,
Um,
something one day.
but I like scanned through the episode so many times that I could not find him holding another bag that had the Friendship One logo on it. Friendship One
Huh.
is a probe that in Voyager, their first official mission after they got back into contact with Starfleet again was to go after this probe that they thought was in the Delta Quadrant.
Quadrant.
and it had ended up like crash landing on some planet. The antimatter drive had like broken open and destroyed the atmosphere on the planet, and
Yeah.
everyone on the planet grew to believe that the humans had sent that there to basically terraform the planet so that we could go in and take over.
But they were the humans. Wasn't that the episode where they were the humans?
No, no, no,
No,
no,
that
no.
that
The,
wasn't them.
the, the, the people on the planet thought that the probe was sent there as a precursor to an invasion. And
Right.
then when Voyager showed up, they were like, oh, hey, look, they're coming to finish the job.
Oh, okay, okay. I was confusing it with the episode where you had the humans who had been so far removed from their colony that they had like created a somewhat different language.
Oh,
Uh,
that was Enterprise. That was like the third or fourth episode of Enterprise.
oh, right,
That was like
right, right. That's right.
Terra something.
Yeah, you're right.
I keep wanting to say Terra Venture, but Terra Venture was the name of the colony in Power Rangers in Space that they lived on when they were trying to go to a different galaxy.
Gotcha. I thought it was going to be a Venture Brothers episode. Damn.
No, but we're getting a Venture Brothers movie, so
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. So what did anything stand out to you about Archer's story? Like, what was there anything that specifically bad, other than it being too short? Was there anything that that really stood out that you liked or didn't like, or
Um.
wish could have been better?
Well, I mean, Bakula is always great. It's like he's able to find the subtlety even in such small work that he had to play with there. Um, I didn't like, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I probably am, but I don't remember her storyline panning out anywhere. Like it just, there's this intrigue, and at the end of the episode, he just kind of like doesn't say anything about it. But obviously, this woman is connected to either Grat or
Yeah, yeah.
somebody.
So let me. That's actually the next trivia card that I have here. Is this episode is the last time ever that we hear from the Tendarans.
That is okay.
Yeah,
I'm not crazy
yeah,
because
it's just completely dropped. Like they
okay,
never touch upon this thing again, which is
thank you.
disappointing
Yeah,
because
it was a great storyline. I would have loved to have seen Grat come back.
right, like any of them, like just like hey, the Tendarans are trying to mount this offensive against the
Yeah,
Suliban. Maybe we can team up, or
right.
maybe they're going to go against Earth in order to try and just like wipe out the Suliban, and Earth has to come in. Like
Yeah,
I don't know what the storyline could have been, but it's disappointing that like whenever like a plot thread like that just like goes away,
yeah.
it's one of those things where by the end of the series, I'm like, wait, whatever happened to this thing?
Could they just not afford to bring him back or something? Because it would have been great to have had them play together again.
But I mean, maybe Dean Stockwell's schedule just never aligned with it. I don't know what else he was working on at this time, but that
Uh,
happens a lot. Like in Stargate Atlantis, Colm Meaney or
yeah. Colm.
Colm
I think it's Colm, isn't it?
O'Brien
Yeah.
played the leader of a race called the Janai,
Hmm.
who ended up basically going to war with the Atlantis crew. Um,
Oh,
he appeared in like maybe like 4 episodes, but then the storyline with the Janai continued, but he just kind of disappeared
it,
and went away.
which they could have done with the
Yeah.
Tandarans. Are the Tandarans a race that are part of Starfleet later or anything? They are, aren't they?
I don't
Or
know.
do they just go away?
I think they just kind of go away. Let me let's see.
I'm looking at uh humanoid. We're at war with the Cabal, Suliban, Jonathan Archer.
There's only 3 that are named, so it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, no, it was kind of like they that episode Detained was such a big deal episode.
Yeah.
Um and then she just kind of like I I can't let you do this and then walks out and whatever and I'm like, "Oh,
It's
cool.
like
This is going to be a
what were
great
you doing?
storyline."
Yeah, it's like
Right?
like if she had just like kept showing up as like a thorn in Archer's side,
Right?
would have been great.
She could have been the equivalent to what's the woman in TNG who always comes back for Picard?
Vosh,
And the thief, yeah,
Vosh,
Vosh.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
she could have
she
been
showed
like a Vosh.
yeah, and she showed up in DS9, I think too.
Yeah,
It was the
yeah,
first
she
episode
did
of
briefly.
DS9 that Q was in.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um,
Because then she goes and travels around with him.
now
Um,
at first when I saw
oh
her in
well,
this
that's because she
episode,
didn't see it.
because like I didn't remember this episode at all. So
Hmm.
when I saw her, I thought she was a Trill, because of the
Oh
pattern of
yes.
the spots going down. But they on Trills they go down like all the way, and on her it looked like they came in and went down the center the center of her body.
Well, were they the same kind of dots as the people that in Voyager? What's his name? He ends up being. You realize he's an alien from that one planet, that one-off episode. Uh, that the
I
is he
don't
the
remember.
helmsman? Let me see. I'll look it up.
I don't know, but yeah, there was I think there was so much promise in building the storyline up, especially with the way Archer just kind of like wrote it off at the end, and because like here, well, but here's my thing with
Wait,
that too.
Harry Kim. You remember Harry Kim ended up being an alien because he got pulled to this one planet, like the allure, and then the things appeared on his body,
I
and
don't
it was the
remember. I remember
planet where
that one.
the women sent out their men, and then the men came back, and then they would kill the men in order to mate with them
I don't
and
remember that
reproduce.
one.
It's a very odd episode.
I mean, there were a lot of Voyager episodes that were very odd.
True.
But what was I saying? Um, yeah, this storyline specifically, it was just weird because Archer made it seem like he wants to go and file a report, but T'Pol knew that something was up with him because he called T'Pol to get the bioscan on her.
Yep.
So, like on
He'd
the show
know.
back, he was just like, nothing really happened.
Yeah. It's like
So
that really bugged me.
yeah, because
That really bugged me.
it seemed like it was being played off the same way as Eric mentioned in the chat, Captain's Holiday, where Picard goes on this adventure with
Hmm.
Vosh, um, and who you were just talking about,
Right.
and by the end of the episode, the whole thing kind of wraps itself up, but we don't know whether or not he actually filed a report about that incident.
Right. But Vosh does come back, so we
Vosh does
do
come
get
back,
some
yeah.
sort of continuation. Whereas this, and then also that whole like she just pricks him right there and then he passes out. It's like, whoa, is this a power they have? Or
Well,
did she have a poison?
yeah. Well, that's what I'm assuming is that she injected him with something. 'Cause
Right.
otherwise, it wouldn't have mattered that she cut him.
True.
But yeah,
Oh.
I don't know. It was a fun story. I just
Hmm.
felt that it it could have led to something more.
Yeah. I will say though that I it makes me really want to go to a seaside resort where there's a seafood barge that I can swim up to.
Right? Like,
Oh man.
I've been seeing commercials for like sandals resorts, and
Oh,
here's the thing: I'm single. So like I feel like going on like one of those trips would be like really awkward. By like first, I would never go on a trip like that by myself. Like
well,
I'm not the kind of person that can go on vacation alone.
oh, it's not bad. I've done it a few times.
I don't know. Like it's just like I don't think there's anything wrong with people who do go on vacation by themselves. But me personally, I'm like, I don't like going out to eat by myself. If I go out to, if I'm gonna eat alone, I'll go out, I'll pick up food, and I'll bring it back home.
Oh, you end up meeting some great people and get some good stories. I've done it a couple times. I went up to San Francisco on my own. I've traveled a little bit of Italy on my own. It's worth it. It's worth it.
it's I don't know. It's just not never something that's appealed to me. Like my
Gotcha.
buddy Eric and I, we used to be roommates in Florida. Like we would go out to Daytona every once in a while and just like hang out
Mhm.
out there, get a hotel room and just like chill on the beach and
Sure.
drink a lot. Um,
Hmm.
but no, I've always wanted to do like or go out to Hawaii and
Hmm.
like some kind of like a beach resort. I got to go to the Virgin Islands a few years ago
U.S. or
for
British?
British. This is gonna be a weird humble brag, but I was on Richard Branson's island, Necker Island.
Oh wow.
I I went to Nick Lachey and Vanessa Manilo's wedding uh,
Okay.
because I was working for the Learning Channel, who was
Uh-huh.
doing a special on it.
Oh.
So I was there working on it, but I could still tell people that I was at their wedding on Richard
Fair
Branson's
enough.
private island.
And you
Uh,
were invited.
and I was invited. But we had some downtime our last day there before we had to come back. So we took a ferry to the other side of the island where the resort that we were staying at was on, and we went to an area called the Baths, which
Okay.
is known for like these giant like granite rock formations.
Sure.
It was like really beautiful. The water was like super clear. Like me and the person the other person that I got a job on the show and brought with me so that I could have a roommate that I knew. Um, we went like snorkeling and
Okay.
it was really dope because like we could see like all the way down to the bottom.
That's Yeah, that's a good memory.
Right?
And you
Yeah.
were only with one other person,
Well, I
so
mean, there's a group of us there.
okay.
But we were like we kind of just like went off from the group just because we were like, hey, we got the snorkeling gear. Let's go see what's out here.
See, that's why I love going on my own sometimes because I can just be like, all right, cool.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I get that. It's just never been for me. Like I would be like Picard in Captain's Holiday, where I'd be
Eh,
like, listen, thank you for coming over and trying to talk to me. I've got a book. I'm good. I'm just gonna sit here in the sun and I'm gonna
There's nothing
read.
wrong with that either.
Donnie Pearson came in.
Donnie.
Hey, Donnie, how's it going? Don't worry about showing up late. Uh,
Hey, we're doing it late now, so
yeah, it's all good, all good. So let's see what I've got next on these cards. I think I've only got like one or two more. Cutler,
yeah,
who she was here.
really sad.
Yeah, she was part of Flox's story and Mayweather's story. And so let's
Yeah.
before we actually discuss what's going on here, let's talk about Mayweather's story.
Mm,
So Mayweather went rock climbing,
yeah.
um, and from the sounds of it, it was a rock face that changed or like
Yeah.
morphed as he was climbing it,
I mean, he
and
wasn't ready for it.
the not only did the face of the rock change, but the handhold locations changed too. He wasn't ready for it, and he fell and hurt his leg.
Yeah.
When they brought him to the hospital on Risa, they gave him a hypo spray to help with the pain. Not real, since they weren't familiar with human physiology, though they didn't know that what was in this hypo spray uh, wasn't good for humans, and he had an
He
allergic
was
reaction to
allergic.
it.
Yeah.
Or it specifically, he was allergic to it. We didn't,
Him. Yeah, it might not be every human.
right, but at least him personally, he was allergic to it. So, but he wanted to come back to the Enterprise anyway. He was like, listen, it's not that I don't trust you guys, but you don't know human anatomy like our doctor does. So
Right.
I would be more comfortable with him. So he called for a shuttle, got brought back up. Phlox was still hibernating, but he started having issues with breathing because of the hypospray allergy. So they woke him up, and that's where we got to what we were talking about before with him being like, "I'll help you, Captain. I'm Lieutenant. Sure."
Ensign.
It's like,
Yeah,
I know, regalian worms. That's what we need.
that's what we need. No, we need fresh ones. Warp speed as soon as we get there.
So great.
And Travis is just on the table doing his best like pain acting.
Yeah.
Anthony Montgomery is, and he's just looking over like, what the heck is wrong with you?
Meanwhile, T'Pol is like, why can't you get your shit together, man?
Oh, I love when T'Pol and Cutler wake him up, and Cutler's just like whispering, and T'Pol's like, "Why are you whispering? He's hibernating." And then
And,
she
all of a
just
sudden,
leans over.
and then all of a sudden, yeah, then all of a sudden he's like, it's like what?
And he
So
really
good.
makes use of his physical presence. It's
Mm-hmm.
so hilarious. But Mayweather, I remember my initial reaction when I watched this episode the first time was like, man, Mayweather's so like anti-alien or whatever, because he's done that a couple times. But then I
Yeah,
remembered watching it this time that in Detain just a few episodes ago, he had his mind change with the Suliban and all
yeah.
that. So I really do take him at his word that it's just like I didn't feel that these guys were treating me well.
Which in context with what was going on, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, I have nothing to base that on here on Earth, because if I went to like, there's very few places here where I wouldn't be comfortable going to a hospital. Like
Okay.
most countries that we would visit, I think would be capable of handling that type of an injury.
Sure, sure.
Like
Yeah.
if I
Well,
needed
they
if I needed like brain surgery immediately or something, that might be a little bit different story. But
right.
like helping me with like a broken leg, like
Yeah, that set the leg and give you
yeah,
painkillers.
yeah,
Yeah, as long as they're not injecting you.
right, right,
Um,
right.
but I will say that watching the Flocks to Paul Cutler and Mayweather stuff uh, really gave me a very big appreciation for this entire episode. This episode is one of the ones that stands out to me for how many divergent storylines it has. And yet while none of the storylines necessarily get to their fruition, like they could have made two episodes out of this. Um, they do have they're entertaining, they're engaging. None of them feel weaker than the others.
Mm-hmm.
They all feel different, and yet they feel full-ish.
Yeah, well, I
And
mean, even the Archer one, even though, like we said, it's disappointing that it's never followed up on.
yeah,
This it ends like
I
it
it
has a
has a
solid
resolution.
ending. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that story as it is. We just wanted more of
more.
it.
Yeah, it was great, and the storytelling in the chunks that we see it, well shot, well edited, well crafted. I will get to that, I guess, at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
But so yes, so Cutler, this actress, Kelly Waymeyer, she passed.
Yeah, and apparently it was like really sudden, some sort of a cardiac issue that she had.
Oh,
She was only 36, um,
damn!
and I guess she passed away at the end of like after this the season wrapped. Um,
Wow,
and I guess there was some sort of discussion about how to handle uh, that on the show.
right.
It didn't really go into detail about it on Memory Alpha, but it specifically stated that they decided against recasting her and just stopped using the character, which indicates that there was discussion of whether or not they should recast her or just stop using her. And I
But
think
they didn't give her a send off though, did they?
they didn't.
Yeah,
But I think that's okay. It's sad, and they didn't get to do that on the show. They didn't get to give her a send off on the show, but that happens with characters on these shows from time to time.
it does.
It's a Starfleet thing. We went season. We went. She her last appearance here was at the end of season one.
Mhm.
So going into season two, it's not unreasonable that they would have gotten like new crew members or other crew members who have transferred off.
Right.
I remember you remember Sequest DSV?
Yeah. Hmm.
So I mean that show only ran for 3 seasons, so not too much shorter than this one was. Going
Right.
into season two, each season of Sequest was kind of like going from
A
season
new
two to season
captain, wasn't
three.
it? Didn't
No,
Michael Ironsides come in?
season one and season two were both Roy Scheider.
Roy Schneider, but
Uh,
season three was Michael Ironsides.
season three was Michael Ironside, but it also like took place like 10 years in the future. It was like a
Right.
super random thing, but at the end of season one, they were like, we don't want to cancel the show, but we feel like we need to make changes to get more viewers, kind of like they
Did
did
they
with
did they keep
Enterprise.
Brandis?
Yeah,
Yeah, they
he was on it throughout the entire thing.
because he was the teen draw.
Yeah. And at the end of season two, or at the beginning of season two, half the crew was gone,
Wow.
and like almost an entirely new crew came in. Roy Scheider stayed. What's his name? Not Blair Underwood. I can't remember his name. The sub commander on the show.
So long.
He
I'll pull it up.
stayed. Jonathan Brandis stayed. and I think um, Ted Raimi stayed. And
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I think that might have been it. The Doctor was gone.
Hmm.
The guy who played like their morale officer had left, even though he came back in season 3 for a cameo.
Don
Um,
Franklin.
yeah, Don Franklin. I don't know why I
Yep.
went to say Blair Underwood. They kind of look a little similar.
That's racist.
It's
No, I'm
yeah,
looking at his
yeah.
headshot here, and they do. They do look. They do have a similar appearance.
Um, but yeah, it's you know it's definitely sad what happened to her, especially being so young. Um,
Frank Welker did 41 episodes as special vocal effects.
Probably for the dolphin.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Um, but yeah, it's sad, but I think the way they did it worked
Yeah, yeah. With Sequest or with this episode?
with this episode.
Oh,
Yeah, and
handling
I'm
Kelly Waymire. Yeah,
I'm glad they didn't recast her because
I am too.
it,
I am too.
it's easy enough in this situation just to replace her with a different character.
But I am glad that we found this out because I do remember watching this and then going through the series. I'm like, where's Phlox's buddy? Where'd she go? And now I know
Yeah.
she passed away. So it's like, damn. But that's cool that they respected the character
Hmm.
because, like if it's a major character, sometimes you're like,
Well,
yeah,
yeah. I mean,
maybe
if
they passed.
that had been Phlox, or if it had
Yeah,
been like
to Paul.
Trip or T'Pol or Malcolm or Hoshi, any of them, it would have been really hard to navigate
Write them off and then bring
how to take
somebody
care of that.
else in.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that might be is that last one? No, one more. So
Well,
just
I think
Risa
this
in
slide is
general.
the reason. Yeah.
Yeah, so you want to talk about Trip and Malcolm's storyline?
Oh, Trip and Malcolm storyline. Yeah, that one was hilarious. And
They were
it
so excited.
they
It's
played such
sad.
dudes at a bar.
It
Oh
was
my
so
God.
sad.
I'm watching those two and it it really kind of bugged me, but so there's the one shot when they're in the bar and they're checking out people, not even women because they're
Hmm.
joking about, well, that might not be a woman, that might not be a man, that might we don't know because they're all alien. Which could be a little troublesome given where we've come.
Yeah, so I was actually going to ask you about that because late when we find out that the women that were hitting on them weren't
We're
actually
men.
women,
Yeah.
like I had to pause for a second because I was like, they couldn't do that today.
No.
Like they
But
would but it's one of those things where how it happened here made sense.
yes.
It made sense for the episode. It made sense for the story. But I completely understand that there's a lot of people now that would look at that and be like, "That's transphobic,"
Right.
and
It
it's a
it's
hard
it's
thing to navigate now.
it's a very hard line because those characters are not they're not playing trans.
Right,
Those characters are basically in a disguise.
right.
Um so it's a discussion to be had and be like, is this where we want to go? I don't know that it's worth the payoff. It's not a big laugh for
Right.
me either. I'm watching it and I'm not just like, oh, that's hilarious. It to me, it's more like, oh, they got duped because
Right.
they're
Yeah. Yeah.
freaking horny dudes.
Exactly. And that I think is what the end thing was that these are a couple of horny guys looking to hook up with
Yeah.
these really hot girls,
Wild and crazy
but
guys.
they completely just pulled one over on them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of where I stand with that because like if the point was that these aliens were actually dudes or they can switch between a female and a male gender or they're fluid or something,
Right.
in that case, yeah, I'm not cool with that and we need to really see what our message is. The fact that they're taking advantage of a couple of horny guys
Yeah.
that I It doesn't. It doesn't
it's
like
it's one of those
make
things
my.
where it just I don't feel like they did it in an insulting way here, but it's one of those things where now
Well, you definitely have to have a
yeah,
conversation
you have to
and
be really
see
careful about
what.
how you do it.
Yeah, you and you should be, and you should be.
Yeah, oh,
And I
absolutely.
and I hope then they had a conversation.
Yeah.
I hope then they weren't just like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if they were actually dudes? Um, that being said, the women they didn't need to transform
No,
into
they didn't
dudes.
have to.
I don't think that was necessary.
They didn't. I think it was that specifically was more for the shock value. Was
Yeah,
these aren't human women?
right.
They're weird looking alien dudes.
Aliens. And I think were I to be writing this episode, uh, that I probably, and I don't know if the lens of 2002 or three when this aired. When was the air date?
2002.
2002. I don't know if my lens in 2002 would have been different or not. I'd like to think that it would have been. Um, but like meaning that what I see now is what
Yeah,
I would have seen
yeah,
then. I would have probably been like, we don't have to make them dudes. That's something that's like funny back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, like Some Like It Hot, that kind
right,
of thing. It lives in that world. We don't have to make them be like ugly alien dudes. They could just be alien women who looked like Rysans and appealing to the humans, and then they switch into their alien bodies and the alien bodies are just not attractive to the men and then they realize that they're also being gypped or they're being
right.
duped. I think it very well could play off like that and there be no issue whatsoever, or the pretty ladies could have just gotten one over on them, but then that might have been too similar to the Archer storyline.
Right. Yeah, it's I don't know. Like I didn't again like I can't it's not my place to say one way or the other whether this is right or wrong because I'm not in that position. Um,
Right.
but as far as it didn't seem to me like it crossed the line. Like
Right.
it didn't push that issue
No.
into making it a more of a thing than it just was.
Exactly. And I think that's fine. They make a couple comments about it, but they don't like, ew, guys,
Yeah, and
something like that. And
right.
in fact, Trip actually says, or Reed says, one of them, I can't remember, but it's like, you didn't have a problem for a second. And it's
Yeah,
like, man, you're right. I didn't.
yeah. But I mean, not only that, but Star Trek in general has a history of treating those issues well. Like in TNG, we had the issue with Riker where he met the one alien that was like I think non-binary.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and,
The,
ki-
the
and,
the
and
the younger the younger one, any it wasn't the kid, but it was
no,
a younger non-binary person.
um, uh,
And he falls for them, doesn't he? Yeah.
They kind of
Yeah.
have a short relationship going on at least
Yeah.
for that episode. So that's not something that's uncommon for Trek to deal with. So I don't feel like there was any malice
Right.
in that. Um,
Yes.
but it would be weird seeing that in a series today just because of how society has come since then.
Hmm.
But this scene here with them coming out from that was great.
In their underwear.
Yeah,
Ah.
I mean, just them sitting down there after they woke up, I think it was Malcolm was like, we need to get out of here, because you don't want the captain to find us like this, do you?
Yep.
And they were
And
like,
he's like, oh
nope.
yeah.
Even though I
But
think that would have been like really funny too, is if they hadn't shown up and then they find them and they're like, you guys want to tell us what happened? No,
again,
no.
all the things that we don't see.
Yeah,
It because like Hoshi's filled with that. Like Hoshi goes to all these places because of her date, and she's the only one that actually has a really nice
right,
time, which
right.
is great.
Yeah, so but before we move on to Hochi, so 2 days and 2 nights is the third episode to be primarily set on Risa, meaning the bulk of the episode took place there. Um,
Hmm.
it Risa also made appearances in the TNG episode The Game, which is the one that had Ashley Judd
Hmm.
as the character. I can't remember what her character's name was, but she's the one that had all those rules.
Yeah.
It's like rule number 27, blah 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 blah. Rule number, and Wesley was back from the academy. They kind of had a little bit of a thing, and
Yep.
but everyone on the ship was being like mind controlled by this like weird VR game
Yeah.
thing.
Yep.
It was also in the DS9 episode.
The seventh.
No, the seventh was
Oh.
a
Oh,
new
that's
episode of
Enterprises.
Enterprise.
Oh.
The other episode, it was what was it? I've got it right here. Let He is who is without sin. That was the episode where, as we see here, Quark and Worf and Jadzia went to Risa along with uh, Alita and Bashir.
Oh, right, because
For
that's
like
the
their
one where
short
they
leave.
break up,
Right.
and they're all happy about their breakup, and everybody's like, "What are you?
Yeah,
Huh?"
but there was that like weird like quasi terrorist cell on Risa that felt that people shouldn't be
Shouldn't be.
happy all the
That's
time or something,
right.
and
Yeah, they the pleasure people
right,
or anti-pleasure.
and Worf kind of teamed up with them for some reason, and they bombed. I don't think they bombed it, but they
They
deactivated the
were
weather
trying
machine.
to.
They deactivated the weather machine,
Hmm.
and Jesse was like, "Worf, what the fuck?"
And then he's like, "Oh, I thought they were right, and I realized I was wrong." You know. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a morals
yeah. It
episode.
was such a weird episode because I was like, "This is really out of character for Worf."
Well, it's also out of
I mean,
character. It sounds like it's acting.
it's partially in character for Worf with his like, oh well, no, they're right about this idea, but it's out of character for him to go along with what they were actually doing.
Yeah, yeah. It to me that episode felt like they were trying to tackle religion a little bit, and I'm like,
Yeah,
ooh,
yeah.
ooh.
It was weird. But
Yeah.
also the Captain's Holiday again, which
And Cap Solid.
Eric brought up a little while ago. Captain's Holiday was a really fun episode.
It's honestly any of the Vash episodes are a fun episode, and
I
any
still
other ones where he goes off doing Indy Jones stuff.
I don't know whether those aliens were actually really from the future or not.
True. They never answered that.
I don't think they did. But yeah, any of the Indiana Jones episodes with Picard were great. Like the chase I think is like one of my favorite TNG
Yeah,
episodes.
yep. And possibly one of the best episodes, period.
Mhm.
But yeah, definitely
Um,
TNG.
uh, Also because in TNG in the episode of the chase, the woman who played the progenitor of life in this galaxy or this quadrant or
Uh-huh.
wherever it was, she went on to play the lead female founder in Deep Space Nine.
Oh, that's
Same actress.
right. That's right. She did. I do remember that. Yeah.
Let's see. I think that was the last. Yeah,
Is it?
that was the last card that I had there. So yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
let's move on to Hoshi.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because she is really she's really the only one that actually accomplished what
Yeah. Well,
what they
she
set out for.
accomplished more than she set
Yeah,
out to do. She learned languages and she met a dude,
yeah,
and they had a wonderful time. And then they go off to these places that I'm like, I want to see that.
and what's funny is that dude at first, you, the way they introduced him made you think that he was up to something fishy too.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought he was going to be. I thought that was going to be the intrigue filled one.
Yeah,
So I was really glad when it wasn't. I was glad like Hoshi got a win.
yeah, that was a really good bait and switch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because like
Yeah.
you see him kind of like staring at her when she's talking with that other couple, talking about how she's trying to learn the language, um, and then he walks over and he's like, "Hi, I overheard your conversation."
Conversation. It's like, whoa, what the hell?
Yeah, I've been like, red alert,
You're right.
stranger danger.
But then the whole language thing, that's kind of cool. I really dig on that. I mean, with me, I'm relearning Spanish right now, so I was like, yay, learning languages. This is fun.
It's funny. I forget who I was. I was just talking to someone about learning Spanish recently because I took. Did you take Spanish in high school or college or, at all?
4 years in
Um,
high school.
so I took 4 years in high school and they took another semester in college.
Mm,
I remember words,
Hmm.
I could not have a conversation with someone.
Well, you haven't used it in forever.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm just now getting back to the past participle in Spanish.
But
And I'm like,
honestly, I don't know. Even when I was in college, when I started taking it again, I don't know that I would have been able to have a conversation with someone then either. Like
true.
if someone wrote stuff down from, like if someone handed me a page that was written in Spanish,
Yeah.
give me like 5 minutes or so, and I could probably figure out what it said. But
Yeah.
I don't think if someone came up to me and just like asked me anything other
Started
than,
speaking.
yeah, if they asked me anything other than what time it was or how to get to the bathroom, I probably wouldn't be able to answer them.
Well, do you need to know much more than that?
It's true.
So don't beat yourself up for not knowing what you don't need to know.
No, but it's just it's one of those things where it's like I should know more
Yeah.
because of how much time I devoted to it, and now it's just
It,
gone.
it, it's amazing that when we don't use
Yeah.
knowledge, how it goes away. My speaking of languages, my one of my he's my brother-in-law. He is a diplomat. He freaking knows like I don't know, like five, six, seven languages.
See, that's insane to me.
He's like really good at learning languages. I don't know how well he knows each of them, but he knows them well enough to ingratiate himself into a culture and not just say, "Hey, where's the bathroom?"
Right.
So it's like that kind of smarts level to me is I I can't I'm having a hard enough time learning how to do Adobe After Effects. So I don't know how I would stand learning more than just the English that I think I know and the bit of Spanish that I'm relearning
Right.
from high school.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I don't know. That,
yeah,
that
I'm just waiting for
that's
that
not my thing.
universal translator or the
That's
Babelfish.
yeah. That's why I'm a creative and not someone
That's,
who needs any of that stuff. Like I saw an interview with Ben Affleck recently where he just like started speaking Spanish because it was a Spanish language interview for a movie that he was in recently, and I'm like,
yeah.
the fuck, Ben Affleck knows Spanish? Like,
Well, like, yeah,
I mean, it's not, it shouldn't surprise me, but it's one of those things where like when you think of Ben Affleck, you don't really think about a smart dude.
yeah, but he was with Jennifer Lopez for a while, and they're
Yeah,
back together.
right. Bennifer
Jennifer is a thing again,
2.0.
right?
God,
It
okay.
is
I,
is
I
is
hate I hated those nicknames back in the day when they were
right.
a thing. I hate them even more now.
Now we'll see. We'll see. I'm okay
I don't know.
if they're happy and
Yeah,
great.
yeah. Why do I
I don't.
care? Like
I
that's one of the like. Are you familiar with shipping culture?
no.
So
You mean as in shipping cargo?
no, like relationship, like
Oh no.
like two people from a show that you think, oh well, these two people should be dating or they should be
Uh,
together.
no.
It's a really weird thing online that people do.
Okay.
And
They try to match people together. It's not actually them dating.
right.
Gotcha.
But then there's it can be kind of toxic because some of these people like will actually get angry at the actors when they start dating someone in real life because
Else.
they're like, well, no, you and this other person who plays a different character on the
Ah.
show, the two of you are supposed to be together, not you and this person who.
Uh,
Yeah, it's such a weird thing. Like
the dark side
fans,
of
yeah,
fandom
fandom is just
and
like such a
social
bizarre
media.
thing.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
I hope there's nobody watching this thinking that we should be dating.
I mean, we do already live together.
We do, but I'm happy with Devereaux. I'm sorry, Josh.
It's okay, it's
And
okay,
and we need to get you to Sandals Resort so you can meet
right?
someone.
Yeah, right. So Hoshi, yeah, Hoshi ends up getting
Oh,
laid.
she,
Has a
yeah,
great time.
yeah.
Well, at least we're led to believe that she gets laid. Whether she actually,
I
we see them
yeah.
waking up in bed together, so you have to
And
assume.
she slept well,
Yeah,
so I imagine.
yeah. So good for her.
Yeah.
But no, that it was a solid episode. I always
Yep.
enjoy this type of a thing because it even though it didn't play into the larger overall story, um, it was fun. Like
Yeah, and
it's
it's a nice wind down before the season finale going into
yeah.
season 2.
We got some character development for Hoshi. We got some character development between Trip and Malcolm.
Reed. some more, because they
Yeah,
already had their
yeah,
solo episode. Yeah.
yeah. So it was good. I liked it.
Got some good comedic stuff out of John Billingsley
Mm-hmm.
and to Paul. Um, I don't know
I
why I said it like that, but
yeah, I don't know. Something interesting. I don't know if you saw this in the behind the scenes information. Because I know you look for stunt stuff all the time.
sure.
But there were no stunt performers in this episode.
Really?
But the stunt coordinator still came to set for a few days to help John Billingsley with his fall, Archer with his fall, and Malcolm and Trip with their fall.
Their fall. And Anthony Montgomery with his fall off screen.
Yes, yeah, yeah. That was the hardest one, I think.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. That's cool. That's cool. I love that. Um, so you normally ask me first. I'll ask you. Where would you rate this?
Um, so obviously all I have to rate it on is all the other episodes that we've seen this first season. So I'm going up against 24 other episodes. I would probably put this somewhere in the top 10. Um,
Yeah,
maybe my top five.
of
It's
season one.
of season one.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of hard to rank it. Really, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to maybe when this season is up, we'll have to sit down. We'll have to actually rank the episodes.
Yeah, we could do that before we move into season two fully or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be fun.
And we still got to do our TNG fan casting.
Yeah, yes, yeah. We still need to do that too. Um,
Um,
but
what would
yeah,
you give it out of a five?
f- uh, 4.5, I think.
4.5? Yeah.
Yeah, I would give this four
Sounds
and a
good.
half. The only reason that I'm docking it really isn't fair to the episode, and that's because the Tendarin stuff that we got with Archer just dies here, and
Yeah.
it doesn't go any further. So that's disappointing. I wouldn't have known that watching this the first time. I
Hmm.
only know that because the series has been done for 20 years.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad that you looked that up and found that, because I was making sure I wasn't crazy. I was like, I don't remember that storyline coming back. The Suliban, of course,
Yeah,
finish up,
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I
but the
feel like
Pandaren stuff.
but yeah, I mean that like I said before, that's kind of a thing that happens in episodes is
Yeah.
you just random plot threads that they set up for something. Just they're like, oh well,
So
we have
they
more,
fizzle
yeah,
out.
we have more interesting stories, so we're gonna go
Yeah.
with these instead.
Absolutely. And it's not like the Tandaren line needed to continue.
No,
It's
it's just
just
that they set it up to continue, and then it didn't.
and it didn't.
Yeah.
I would say four. I give it a 4.6 to 4.7. Because like I said earlier, I really enjoyed the way that they told these stories, and the stories were so vastly disparate. But they were told well and cobbled together in such a way that I felt that each storyline was full and rich and fun. The thing that the Tandarin thing, the only reason I'm really docking it, because the Tandarin thing, I'm like, well, I'll dock the series as a whole, not this
Yeah,
episode,
right,
because
right,
that.
right.
The reason I'm docking it, and it dovetails into one of the things about the episode that we didn't get to, is that the budget for this episode apparently was really tight, because they were
Mm,
at the end of the season and they had to save what they could for the final episode. So when this they were like, there's a lot of stuff in Risa that they talk about, and one of the things that I think I had started to, and I kind of fell off track, is when you get Tucker and Reed and they're doing the one shot and they're zooming in on the two of them and they're
mm-hmm.
talking about this woman, that man, this, that, and the other, and then they're like, ooh, what about that? I don't know, I wouldn't know which eyes to look into. I wanted a cutaway. I
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
see that alien. I wanted to see that breathtakingly beautiful alien with way too many eyes. Um,
Although,
I
you know what that did remind me of? You haven't watched any of Lower Deck season one yet, have you?
Not yet, not yet.
So there was an episode where one of the main characters was talking about all of the women that the first officer on the ship had dated.
Mm,
The first officer is voiced by Jerry O'Connell, um,
right.
who's married to Rebecca Romaine, who's going to be playing the first officer in Strange New Worlds.
Yes.
But one of them, one of the women that he was dating or went on a date with ended up being a salt vampire, disguised as a human. But she was, like mesmerizing him or whatever. So he just saw that like this beautiful woman, but everyone else was
Right.
like, "No, this is a salt vampire." And and like that kind of reminded me of what was happening here with Trip and Malcolm.
I can't wait to watch Lower Decks. That's gonna crack
It's
my head up.
I mean, honestly, I think you'll be able to binge through it in a couple of days
Yeah, I'm
because
sure I would.
the episodes are like 25 minutes ish each, and they're so much fun.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide if I want to start up on that or if I want to go to Discovery or
I
Picard.
I
I
would go
think
I would go to Lower Decks.
since it's coming up.
Yeah, since it's coming up, even though it's out of order a little bit,
Yeah,
just because we're going to be talking about it, it would make sense to start
yeah.
watching that instead of
And then I got to do Picard because that'll
yeah.
be I think next,
I
right? Or is
Strange New Worlds might be next,
it might be Strange New Worlds, yeah.
which would mean
Oh,
which would give you seasons 1 and 2 of Discovery that you would want
Discovery
to
as
catch up on.
well. Yep. And then Prodigy,
Yeah,
Prodigy's
that's that's sometime later this year, but you don't really need to catch up on anything for that because it takes
yeah,
place.
Delta Quadrant
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Well, apparently it takes place between the Delta Quadrant and the Alpha Quadrant.
Oh, okay.
But like, it's hard to figure out like where it like how this is working because I think they find the ship in the Delta Quadrant,
Hmm.
but it has the emergency teaching hologram or whatever
Of Katie Mulgrew.
of Janeway on it.
Janeway.
So how did that get there?
Right. I wonder if they're going to bring back because they kind of in Voyager they kind of
They've got the
the
transwarp gateways
the
that they
trans
start using.
well they got the transwarp gate, but also the godlike entities that were in those the ones that brought him over. And that one died, and then
Well,
there was the other one,
yes, yes. So there was the caretaker who
the
was
caretaker.
who was that original one that brought them
Yep.
over, and then there was the second one who was apparently the mate of the original one
Of
who got sick of sitting there taking care of
the humans,
the
or not the humans, the
Kessis species,
yeah.
whatever they were called. I can't remember off the top of my head. So she went off somewhere else, and then they ran into her. But I don't remember what happened to her after that thing because
And
they tried to get her to send them back, but she didn't.
yeah, and she didn't, and then she kind of got pissed and like almost killed him
Yeah,
with the other guy that was like, oh, we're gonna live forever and da 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 da. But then
yeah.
but then she kind of went off on her own, so I wonder if they'll bring her back somehow.
Maybe I don't know. It'll be interesting. Because we know that they're bringing back Billy Campbell as the outrageous Okona,
Mm.
and apparently there's a couple of other like one-off characters that they'll be bringing back. So it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to
It'll be
Prodigy,
interesting.
especially after those new images that they dropped. That
Yeah, those are
look
great.
really good.
Those look real tight. But yeah, so I'll go with like a 4.6, 4.7 because that one thing that I was talking about with Trip and Tucker and the eyeballs, that's
Yeah,
kind of a microcosm of the only thing that really bugged me in the episode.
right.
Is that there were so many things alluded to, like where Hoshi went with that dude, the barge with the seafood out in the
Mm-hmm.
ocean, those sorts of things. I would have loved to have seen just a little bit of Risa.
Yeah,
Uh,
because well,
yeah.
the thing with the barge, like hearing that reminded me of in the Fifth Element. Uh, uh, Corbin
Mhm.
Dallas, played by Bruce Willis,
Bruce Willis.
had it was James Hong, right? Who ran
Yes.
James Hong, his Chinese
Uh,
floating Chinese food
yeah.
truck came right to his window. I was like, that's dope. I want one. I like
I want that.
I want someone like to bring a food truck directly to my house.
Right? I mean, we've got that with Grubhub to an extent, but it's like we get the whole truck.
Right, and
So
it's
it's
so
fresh.
fresh. Right, that'd be
Yeah, we don't have to
great.
wait 45 minutes and still tip the person, even though we really don't want to. But we
Because the food
should,
is only
because,
lukewarm, and now we have to put it in the microwave, and because it's been in the microwave, it's not as good as it would have been if it was fresh.
but it's not necessarily their fault.
Right, because we ordered
We ordered it. Yeah.
it.
And when you're ordering from the downfall of takeout going away from
Right?
most
It's one of those
places.
things that you have to expect. It's like whenever I order like takeout from like a real restaurant, not like fast food or whatever, I try and get there a couple of minutes before it's supposed to be ready, so that when
Yep.
I pick it up, it just finished cooking. So when I get home, it's not like it's been
Yep.
sitting under a heat lamp for 10 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, for me, the advent of things like Grubhub and DoorDash and Uber Eats and all that has actually made me eat takeout less because to me, I'm like, well, it's going to be cheaper for me to drive there, get it, and come back. That it doesn't save me any money in
with
gas.
with certain things like pizza, I'll drive and I'll pick up pizza because I'm not gonna pay $5 when I could drive like a minute away to go pick it up.
Right.
And then $5 for the delivery plus an additional like $3 or $4 I have to tip the driver. So a
Yes.
pizza that should have cost me $15 is now costing me like 26.
26. Yep.
Then I'm like, no, I'm good. I'll
Yep.
drive up to Domino's or Pizza Hut or whatever, and I'll get it myself. If I'm gonna spend $25 on a pizza, it's gonna be a
Yeah.
good fucking pizza. I'm not going to Burger King or not going to Pizza Hut or Domino's or
Yeah.
whatever. Um, but there's some food like ramen. We've gotten ramen delivered here a couple of times, and
True.
and that's
Yeah.
been fine because
Hmm.
everything usually stays separate. And then you just like reheating the broth and then dumping all your noodles and everything into it.
Ingredients
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
not too bad.
the only time I really find it useful is if I'm going to be really busy.
Mm-hmm.
And so my time is worth the extra money that I pay.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
but for
I've
me,
ordered.
generally, when I order takeout, I'm not ordering because I'm limited on time. I'm ordering because I'm tired and I
Yeah,
don't want to
yeah.
drive.
Top round. Like their food is better fresh because it's like hot roast beef sandwiches on a bun. So if they sit there for too long, all of the juices from the
Yeah.
roast beef just soak into the bun, and the bun gets like spongy,
Right.
which is sometimes okay, but not when it's fresh. But anyway, this
uh,
conversation went in a completely different direction. Now I am
yep.
extremely hungry too. Uh,
Me dose.
so I think
Donnie,
that will do it for us for today. Make sure to check back in with us tomorrow night at 11:40 for our live watch along of Star Wars: The Bad Batch, where I will be talking about Star
the
Wars,
bad
not
batch.
Star Trek. Saturday we will be back with the Retro Ranger wrap up, and I can't remember what episodes we're on because it's been so long, but I want to say it's episodes 35 through 36 through 38, I think.
Hmm.
Um, the regular Ranger wrap up will also be on Saturday. Sunday, we've got the Illuminati Wrestling Order and the Retro Sentai wrap up, and it's all connected where they talk about all of the DC, Marvel, Star Wars news and dig more into they'll dig more into a little bit more into the episode of Loki. If you haven't seen episode 3 yet,
Oh,
it's really good.
I
Um,
gotta see it. I gotta
oh,
see it.
also Sunday nights now after the Illuminati Wrestling Order, myself and Shay and Nate from the Illuminati Wrestling Order will be doing a Rick and Morty smoke along where we will be getting baked and watching the new episode of Rick and Morty. This last week was a train wreck because everything fucking broke on me. Uh, Shay and I sounded like robots because the audio just didn't want to work, and we made Nate wait like half an hour longer than he was supposed to be there because
So it
everything wasn't
actually worked
working.
out like it was
So it
supposed
was
to if you're getting baked.
yes, yeah. Unfortunately, I wasn't baked in time, so I like it was one of like when you've seen Spaceballs, right?
Yeah,
At the end of Spaceballs, when the count like when they hit the self
just
destruct thing,
kidding. Yeah,
and then they all fly they all run down to the center of the ship to hit the cancellation button, and they pop open the thing, and there's a tag guy that says out of order,
right.
and Dark Helmet is like, fuck, even in the future nothing works.
Nothing works.
That's how I felt on Sunday because like I unplugged the mixer and I just plugged in the USB mic. I was like, all right, Shay and I can just share the USB mic. It'll be fine. That didn't work. Tried unplugging that and plugging the mixer back in. That didn't work. Like just nothing wanted to work. So I was getting like I just got to the point where I was like, this isn't working. I just want it to fucking work. I'm really annoyed. I don't like. I like. It's one of those things. Like, have you ever had someone try and help you to fix something when you were just so annoyed with the fact that you couldn't get it to work that you were like, please go away and leave me alone because I don't want to bite your head off because I just need to get this thing fixed.
Yep. Oh, of course, of
That's
course.
that's exactly what I felt like, but I couldn't do that because we were on the air. So I was like, I just
But now you've admitted it for the whole
right,
world to
yeah,
know.
that's just the kind of guy that I am. Like, I don't mean to be an asshole. It just happens.
All right. Well, I'll see you in the kitchen.
Yeah, let me see if I can hit the right button here.